Most successful people in the world know that hard work doesn't unlock your potential, being bored does. I'm David. I'm the CEO of FilterBuy, a boring air filter manufacturer that makes $22 million a month. This video won't be boring, but by the time you finish it, you'll understand how to harness your boredom to completely change your life. If you can't learn to sit alone with yourself, you'll never unlock the power of boredom. Elon Musk is a total weirdo, and it makes him billions of dollars. Elon Musk wanted to build spaceships, but faced NASA's astronomical cost. Instead of following NASA's established plans and processes, he took a completely different approach. He started from first principles thinking, asking what would it actually take to replicate this from scratch. He reverse engineered the entire process from the ground up, learning each component himself. By understanding the fundamentals rather than copying the blueprint, he found inefficiencies everywhere. The result? He built spaceships for roughly 1/10 of what NASA spent. Not by working harder, but by thinking differently. Most people think in best practices. They copy what already works for others, which sounds smart, but it locks them in to the same limitations. First principles thinking, on the other hand, ask, what's actually true? What are the real inputs, the real constraints? First principles thinking is about stripping everything down to its most basic truth, then building up from there. When you think this way, you stop accepting the world as it is and you start seeing it for what it could be. That's how Musk built rockets for 1/10 the price. He asked, what does it really take to leave the Earth's atmosphere? That shift from imitation to curiosity is where all the leverage is. When I started FilterBuy, I knew absolutely nothing about the air filtration industry. I was an options trader. That turned out to be my biggest advantage. Instead of asking, how do other filter companies do it? I asked, what actually matters here? Once I broke the business down from first principles, I realized something most of the industry had missed. Our real value wasn't just the filter, it was in understanding every cost and friction point between our factory and the customer's doorstep. If you're entering an industry, don't start with what others are doing, start with what the customer needs. Look at where the money, time, and energy actually go. That's where inefficiencies hide. If someone tells you that's just how it's done, that's the moment to dig deeper. Now, you probably think that new flashy tech like AI will help give you a competitive advantage. But AI is literally designed to make you average. The tool that promises to make you successful is actually pushing you toward mediocrity by design. It's built to find patterns in existing data and give you the most statistically likely answer. That's great when you want a summary, but not so great when you're trying to build something original or to create alpha. If everyone's using the same tool, trained on the same data, the output starts to look the same. AI flattens the curve. It brings the bottom up, but it also brings the top down. So how do you use it without falling into that trap? You have to remember that AI is a multiplier, not a creator. It amplifies what you already know. I found AI to be most powerful in areas where you already have deep domain knowledge. When you understand the problem, AI helps you dig deeper, uncover hidden insights, and get to the truth faster. But when you don't understand the fundamentals, it just feeds you obvious answers that sound right, but miss the nuance. That's the difference between using AI to think and using it to copy. So here's how I use AI to get an edge, not to lose one. First, I never ask AI for generic business advice or ideas. I feed it real data and context, things like financial numbers, logistics models, customer feedback, and ask it to analyze, not decide. That keeps the output grounded in reality, not theory. Second, I use what I call contrast prompts. It's something I learned from my mentor, Charlie Munger, who taught the power of inversion thinking. Instead of asking, what should I do? He'd ask, what would guarantee failure? And then do the opposite. So when I use AI, I'll ask, tell me what 99% of people would do here and what the opposite approach would look like. That simple inversion forces AI to surface unconventional insights, things that don't live in the middle of the bell curve. It breaks the pattern that keeps most people average. I'm glad you're here because the more you entertain yourself on this website, the harder it is to succeed. YouTube gave us unlimited information and accidentally created total conformity. Today, you can pick up your phone and instantly find the answer to any business question on YouTube. When I was younger, you had books and TV, nothing like the comprehensive how-to content available today. That scarcity of information forced people to be more creative and figure things out themselves. Now, I have data that tells me YouTube's algorithm will promote content where I tell you exactly what business to buy or playbook to follow. The abundance of information has paradoxically led to a lack of original thinking. Today, we've got endless tutorials or templates or top 10 business ideas to follow. And while that sounds helpful, it kills original thought. You can't innovate when you're constantly consuming someone else's blueprint. You start mimicking instead of reasoning. The irony is that most of the people teaching online don't actually understand the first principles behind what they're explaining. They're just repeating what worked for someone else. Here's how to fix it, and where the concept of alpha comes in. Alpha is the return you earn above the market average. It's the edge that separates you from everyone else playing the same game. In business, alpha is the same thing. It's your unique competitive advantage. It's the thing no one else sees because you thought differently. If you're just copying playbooks, you'll always get average results. That's beta. To get alpha, you have to build new knowledge. What questions do I need to sit with longer without jumping to Google or ChatGPT to figure out on my own? Paradox of YouTube and social media is this: the more answers you consume, the further you drift from discovery. The people who win, the ones who create alpha, are the ones willing to stop scrolling, sit with boredom, and learn to think for themselves. The world is a better place when we figure out what makes us weird. I got into affiliate marketing, which seemed unrelated to air filters. Through affiliate marketing, I started going down rabbit holes about different products and industries. These weren't structured learning paths like a course, they were genuine curiosity-driven explorations. One of these rabbit holes led to deep learning about air filters and the business behind them. When it came time to start manufacturing those air filters, I leaned into my background. I bought my family's industrial supply company in my old hometown. My life plugged me into unique opportunities. When I first learned about the air filter manufacturing process, it looked simple on paper. If I had just watched a video called How to Start a Boring Air Filter Business, I would have missed all of that. Edutainment is surface level. It can teach you about something, but not how to think about it or what it feels like to live it every single day. You can't download that kind of wisdom. You only earn it through doing, through failing, iterating, and showing up long enough to see what actually matters. So how do you develop that kind of understanding for yourself? You learn fastest by doing small experiments, by making tiny bets that teach you what the textbooks can't. If you can afford it, buying a small business is one of the few real shortcuts, because you're buying a knowledge base, not just equipment or cash flow. But even then, to grow it, you need iterative trial and error thinking. And here's the part that ties everything together. You'll only discover your unique perspective when you let yourself be a little weird. Sit alone with your thoughts. Follow your curiosity instead of chasing trends. Being bored enough to go deep is your secret weapon. If all your friends can't stand the rabbit hole you're going down, you're on the right track. Our decreasing tolerance for boredom is quietly destroying our ability to build great businesses. We live in a world of instant stimulation. Smartphones, notifications, and AI tools that hand us the answer before we've even thought through the question. That constant dopamine loop rewires your brain to crave novelty instead of depth. But real success, the kind that compounds, lives on the other side of boredom. Most breakthroughs are the result of long stretches of repetitive, unglamorous work. The testing, tweaking, refining, all the parts that nobody wants to film. Compounding itself is boring. As Warren Buffett said, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. He also talks about his 20 punch card rule, the idea that if you could make only 20 big decisions in your life, you think far more carefully and act with conviction. That mindset is almost impossible in today's attention economy. If you want a great framework for this, read Deep Work by Cal Newport. It's one of the best books ever written on focus and depth. Every minute you spend doing the boring work is another minute your competitors won't. Track progress, not excitement. Set long-term goals and measure small daily improvements. You'll start to realize that consistency compounds faster than inspiration. When it feels repetitive or dull, remind yourself, This is the price of differentiation. Now, I want to make something clear. This is not about isolation. Specialization isn't the same as being alone. Community still matters, but the kind of community that actually helps you grow looks different than most people think. The best communities aren't built around chasing trends or surface level networking. They're built around people who've each gone deep in their own lane, people who have earned insight through experience, and then come together to share what they've learned. That's where the real breakthroughs happen. Not from copying each other, but from combining different perspectives. That's how you get innovation, the intersection of depth and diversity of thought. And here's the beauty of it. Because there are so many paths to success, our real competition isn't other people, it's ourselves. We're all on our own trajectory. Once you see that, you stop hoarding information or guarding ideas. You realize that sharing knowledge actually multiplies it. When you teach someone else what you've learned, it forces you to understand it even more deeply. That's what I love about this stage of the internet. It's made it possible for builders, thinkers, and weirdos in every niche to find each other, to grow together, to make something their own. Take a second, pause this video, and think about the weirdest business rabbit hole you've gone down lately. The one your friends probably didn't get or maybe even laughed at. Now, scroll down and leave a comment about it. You never know who's going to see it. You might find someone who's deep in that same niche, and that could turn into a friendship, a collaboration, maybe even your next business partner. Let's start building that community. If you're trying to find boring details to obsess over, watch my video on how you can disrupt this $15 trillion industry. If you want to take your business to the next level, I want to learn more. In 2026, I'll be visiting and maybe even investing in some of my favorite boring businesses in the world. Send an email to the email on the screen now. Tell me a bit about your business, where you're located, and what you're hoping to do next. Hopefully, I'll see you soon.